Hey everybody, welcome back to H4Games. My name is Tony, and today I wanted to talk about Indiana Jones and the Infernal Machine for the Nintendo 64, or, as it's also known, Tomb Raider on the N64. But not really, but kind of, you'll see. Now, this game was a PC ported from the PC to the N64 in the year 2000, and it was only available at Blockbuster and on LucasArts' website. In the year 2000, the N64 was kind of on its way out, so you could see why it didn't have a broad, massive retail release. Let's talk a little bit about the gameplay. Now, Infernal Machine was also released on the PC originally, so this is a retooled version. Between being a later N64 title at the time when developers really knew how to push the hardware, and also utilizing the system's RAM expansion pack for an additional 4 megabytes of RAM, ultimately, the game looks great. Not really a downgrade from the PC version, really at all. But the biggest retooling was in the control and camera. Basically, the PC version was, as you might say, sloptastic. People complained that it was hard to control Indiana when fighting, and this was generally due to the camera. So what did they do? Well, basically they made it more like Zelda. So what I should say is, this game is a Tomb Raider, Indiana Jones, Zelda, Ocarina of Time hybrid. And honestly, that's not too far off base. Look at this. At the top right, the prompt tells me I can grab, hang, or whatever. Now, I haven't played the PC version, but by the looks of it, there's a big struggle to figure out when you can do these specific actions. So in the PC gameplay that I've seen, I see people kind of like edging towards like a ledge of some sort, and there's no sort of command prompt that comes up, so they're just kind of like guessing as to when they can do things, which doesn't seem very fun. Now granted, the N64 version's prompts are pretty damn finicky, but it is better than nothing. They've also added a C button inventory, but most importantly, they added a Z targeting for enemies. And when enemies aren't on screen, Z swings the camera back around behind Indy, which is very, very convenient. Overall, the gameplay is pretty entertaining. It's a puzzle action platformer. And the action itself, the gunplay, is actually pretty solid. And every level, often the levels are really huge, as a matter of fact, every level is chock full of puzzles. Sometimes it's finding a lever or discovering like an open vent you can go through. Other times it's puzzle platforming for relics so you can fit them into like an actual puzzle.
There's some cuneiform writing here, but I can't read it. Some of the tablets are missing.
In fact, every major stage of the game ends with a big puzzle platforming segment. So it's kind of like you go through the level, you do these puzzles, and then there's this puzzle platformer like set piece that you need to finish off the levels with. It's fun overall, and there is a great sense of adventure. But there are some problems. Like I said, it is like Zelda, but I wish it had Zelda's auto jump. You can make some huge and unlikely jumps in this game, but the small jumps are problematic. Take this end stage puzzle, for example. I overshot this thing like 20 times. Also, it's not always apparent what you're supposed to do. Now, granted, that's kind of why it's a puzzle, right? You need to really take your time and look around. And I guess part of the issue was I was often so focused on the combat and exploration, like actually just seeing the level in front of me, that I often didn't look up to, see other things that I should be platforming on or should be crawling into, that kind of thing. Other times, paths can be confusing. So for example, in this level, you have to raft down a river to get 4 different candles to progress.
Is that a candle in there?
And each candle has a very specific path that you're supposed to go on to get to it. But you're on a raft, and you can often take the wrong path, your raft can deflate. If you go on the wrong path, you basically have to do the whole damn thing again and again and again and again. It is kind of frustrating. Now that said, the raft controls are perfect in that you have absolutely zero control over your raft. Just like a real raft. Point being is that it crosses the "what the hell am I supposed to do" line more frequently than similar games. And the frustration mounts over time, diminishing the reward once your mission is accomplished. Let's talk a little bit about the presentation here. So like I mentioned, the graphics look great. Things are clear, and I'm somewhat convinced they didn't use any anti-aliasing in this game. It doesn't have that N64 blurriness to it. Sort of that smear that a lot of the Zelda games and almost all the N64 games have. Instead, it has that sort of PlayStation jaggy line syndrome that is oh so popular these days. So the lack of anti-aliasing, I think, I'm not 100% sure, should make all of you video quality enthusiast junkies very, very happy. For the rest of us that don't care either way, well, it's a thing. A few things to note. The first level definitely pushes your tolerance of the color red. And it really pushes the N64's ability to display red. There's so much damn red. On the second set of stages, that color is blue. Now granted, blue is a lot prettier of a color, and just take a look at this scene right here with the snow falling. It is gorgeous. Let's talk a little bit about the voice acting. Now, a lot of people complain that Indy doesn't sound anything like Harrison Ford. And he doesn't. But did you expect him to come back and reprise this role to voice Indy on the N64?
Hello, Indy. Been a while.
I'll say. What brings you out west? Some psychic premonition about the treasures I should have found?
My, look at these wonderful potsherds.
I mean, here's a man that's Han Solo, who wanted to kill off Han Solo in Return of the Jedi. He's a grumpy Gus. Did you really expect him to come back for this? So just let that sink in for just a minute. Let's get over it. After a while, you get used to his voice, and it's fine. What really bothers me more than the voices are the really lifeless faces. And this guy's arms. I think it's safe to say that the environments and the crispness of the graphics is really where the game shines, not the voice or the character models. So let's touch a little bit on the story.
According to the inscription, the tower once housed a great engine. When the Babylonians smashed the thing, 4 priests escaped with the parts.
Taking them where?
Not sure, except in one case. Some fellow named Ergon headed for the Heavenly Mountains.
You get most of it after beating the introductory level. The developers thought the idea of Indy fighting the Nazis was getting kind of old from the movie, so they swapped the Nazis with the Russian communists. They also wanted to utilize aliens, but George Lucas started realizing that this was encroaching on his territory for Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which at this time was still just sort of an embryo of an idea in his head. So he told them to nix the alien part. So instead what we ultimately got was the communists attempting to put together the pieces of the Infernal machine, which was a Babylonian doomsday device that was dismantled and spread throughout the world by the fearful Babylonians once they realized its power. So overall, what did I think about this game? Firstly, if the game wasn't a year 2000 release, it could have easily had mass market distribution, and I think it would have done fine. It would have been the Tomb Raider for the N64, but without the Tomb Raider license. Also, it's almost universally reviewed higher than its PC equivalent, and during the era of the N64, normally PCs were significantly more powerful, and you'd get a console port that was a downgrade from the PC version. You normally don't see it the other way around. Generally, they're lazy, compressed ports. This had additional features, and overall was less frustrating. However, I did find myself getting very frustrated at the jumping mechanics. Again, an auto jump like Zelda, they already took so much from Zelda anyways, but an auto jump like Zelda would have been perfect. You know, a small trot for a small jump, or a run for a larger jump, and then just place the platforms accordingly would have been great. So since these mechanics are just so integral to the game, and since you so often don't know what to do, I did find myself getting pretty frustrated, unfortunately. Overall, I would give this game an 8 out of 10. It's solid enough, with some mechanical flaws holding it back. You can get a loose copy on eBay for about $40 to $60, condition depending, so if you're a really big Tomb Raider fan, big Zelda fan, and you got the extra cash, give it a try. You may find yourself enjoying it. Aside from that, thank you very much for subscribing, thank you for liking this video, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you again for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a like and a share, and we will see you guys next time.